Once upon a time, in a green and peaceful valley nestled between rolling hills, lived a clever fox. This sly fox was known throughout the land for his wit and cunning. He had a cozy den under the shade of an old oak tree, and his life seemed pretty perfect. But our dear fox was greedy and always wanted more. One day, as the sun climbed higher in the sky, the fox decided he wanted some grapes that grew on the vine just out of his reach. Now, these were no ordinary grapes. They were plump and juicy and oh, so tempting. The fox could just make out the sweet aroma from where he was. It smelled like paradise. To get these grapes, the fox had to climb up a tree and jump onto the topmost branch where the juiciest bunch of grapes grew. But there was a problem. You see, the fox was rather portly, and he was slow and awkward at climbing trees. After much huffing and puffing, he managed to get halfway up the trunk only to slip and tumble down with a loud crash. Undeterred, he tried again, inching higher and higher, but then came another fall. And this time, he landed right under the grapevine. A bark that sounded suspiciously like a dog's bark. He did this again, walking away and then turning around to let out another fake bark. Now, you might wonder why the fox did this. Well, it was part of his plan. You see, the fox was hoping to scare a bird away from the grapes so he could grab them for himself. It was a long shot! But desperation can make one do crazy things, right? After a few minutes of this charade, one of the birds got spooked by the unusual sound and flew off, leaving the grapes untouched. The fox's heart leaped with joy. His plan was working. But which grapes should he choose? They were all so plump and inviting. But then suddenly, as the fox reached out to pick the bunch, a strong wind shook the tree. The grapes fell. One after another, they tumbled down, scattering on the ground like fallen stars. The fox stared at the sight before him, his mouth hanging open in disbelief. In a flash, he dashed forward and started gobbling up the grapes. They were even sweeter and tastier than he had imagined. Juicy liquid dripped down his chin, staining his fur, but he didn't care. He was in a state of pure bliss. As quickly as he had devoured them, the fox wiped his mouth and looked around. Suddenly, he noticed something strange. All the remaining grapes on the vine were a deep purple, almost black color. The ones he had eaten were not. The fox pondered this oddity for a moment before it hit him. The grapes had been ripe and ready to eat, yet he had not noticed their ripeness before. His desire had blinded him to their beauty and taste. As the realization dawned on him, the fox felt a pang of regret. In his greed, he had missed out on the simple pleasure of enjoying the grapes as they were meant to be enjoyed. The grapes, once out of his reach, now lay scattered and wasted on the ground. And so, dear friends, let this tale serve as a reminder to us all that it is easy to despise what we cannot have. When something seems unattainable, we often find ways to convince ourselves that it isn't worth having. But when the tables turn and the desired thing becomes within our grasp, we might realize too late that the joy was in the journey and not just the destination. Perhaps the fox would have been happier if he had spent less time trying to possess the grapes and more time appreciating their beauty from afar, or even better, finding joy in the simple things that were already a part of his life. But then again, who are we to judge a fox for wanting a little grapey heaven in his life? After all, don't we all just want what we can't have? Now let's move on to the next story. Once upon a time in a bustling city lived a wealthy businessman. He had everything money could buy: luxurious homes, fancy cars, and closets filled with expensive suits. Yet despite his material wealth, the man felt a gnawing emptiness inside. He had worked tirelessly to achieve success and now found himself at the pinnacle of his career. But as he looked around at his lavish surroundings, he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was missing. The warmth of family, the comfort of friendship, and the simplicity of a life well lived. Driven by an insatiable longing for something more, the man embarked on a journey to find happiness. He traveled to distant lands, seeking wisdom from ancient monks, delving into philosophies and even consulting with renowned psychologists. But the deeper he delved into his search, the more lost he became. Years turned into decades, and the man's quest for happiness remained elusive. One day, as he sat alone in his opulent mansion, a young boy approached him. The boy, with the innocence of youth, asked the man a simple yet profound question. He asked, "Mister, why do you keep all this stuff if you go in and take it with you when you go?" Startled by the question, the man paused and looked around him at the mountains of possessions that surrounded him. In that moment, he realized that his relentless pursuit of happiness had led him to amass material wealth at the expense of genuine connections and life's simple pleasures. With newfound clarity, the man began to make changes. He started by investing in meaningful relationships, nurturing friendships, and reaching out to distant family members. He also began to seek joy in the present moment, appreciating the beauty in nature, reconnecting with old hobbies, and engaging in acts of kindness. As the years passed, the man's life transformed. He found contentment in the love of his friends and family, the beauty of the world around him, and the satisfaction of a life well lived. He learned that happiness was unsomething to be found at the end of a long and winding road, but rather a collection of moments to be cherished along the way. And so, my friends, let this story remind us that sometimes in the relentless pursuit of happiness, we forget to appreciate the beauty of the present moment. True happiness lies not in what we own, but in who we are, what we experience, and how we choose to live our lives. Oh, thank you for joining me on this wonderful journey through the tales of the sly fox and the wealthy businessman. If you enjoyed these stories and want more, please don't forget to subscribe. We have many more videos like this for you. And also, if you liked this video, please leave a like. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, happiness is a journey, not a destination.